Hey, welcome back. It's another week of the drunkenly critically acclaimed, soon-to-be award-winning John Sawyer Show, live right here on Strong Island TV. This is episode 24. If you are watching live on Facebook, we thank you. If you're listening in on the TuneIn Radio app, we thank you. If you don't have the app but wish to get it, you can do so by going to the App Store or Google Play, depending on which one your cell phone carries. Download the app for free. Type in Strong Island Radio in the search engine, and as long as you have us marked down as your favorites, you can listen to us on the go every single week. Phone lines are open tonight. You can call in by simply dialing 516-945-9099. We also have Skype. If you wish to have your pretty face shown on the broadcast along with these three pretty faces, you can do so by Skyping strongisland.com on the Skype app or Skype the call-in number, which is once again 516-945-9099. I am your host, John Sawyer, and finally, my new recruits. To my right, from JR's Big Apple Bookings and JR Collectibles, Mr. Joe Rosello. How are you, sir?
How are you, sir? I'm so excited to be here. It's an honor, and let's have some fun.
Yeah. Ready for it. And to my left, Mr. Michael Monty. How are you?
All right, John. I appreciate the opportunity. Glad to be here.
Yeah. Pleasure's all mine. So before going on the air tonight, I was brought to my attention about this Phil Jackson guy from the NBA. But before we dive into that topic, take this time right now to tell the people about yourself.
My name is Joe. I run JR Collectibles, which is a merchandise vendoring business, and I also run JR's Big Apple Bookings, which is bringing talent to different places in wrestling.
That's all you got?
That's all I got.
Okay.
Simple.
Michael, tell us about yourself.
Well, I'm a director of operations for the number one safety company in the United States, and that's about that. That's all I want to talk about that.
Well, what company may that be?
Ocunomics. It's located in Port Jefferson Station, New York.
Okay. All right. If you want to plug your companies real quick before we dive into the Phil Jackson topic.
JR Bookings, JR Collectibles.
Any websites people can,
Just go on my Facebook, Joe Rosello. I got everything on there. And you'll see different merchandise and different groups and different websites. That's what I do. Also, events. I got Simon Gotch next week at Pay-Per-View Legends at a bar in NYC. That's really it. Simple.
Hey, Joe, interesting, right? We're talking off air. Tell me your little stories about bringing in some of the talent, some wacky stories.
Yeah.
Being on the outside in, I'm always interested to hear how these guys are.
Well, before you continue, mention what you can say. Don't mention anything.
Of course. No. But I did Pro Wrestling Syndicated at first, and I had this idea of bringing in the Bullet Club when they were hot, which was Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows. So AJ Styles was already there, so I bring Carl Anderson in. That was mostly his first time in independence. So he didn't get the whole money thing and stuff like that, but I told him around the way he was cool. But AJ Styles, he was mad that I had 8x10s of him. Like, I had face pictures of him and Carl Anderson together, but I didn't make it. So he went like crazy on me in Nuclear. And I was like, what did I do? And Carl Anderson even said, what did he do? Like, it was kind of like...
Was this before the whole signing, or was it during the signing?
No, it was before the whole signing.
Yeah.
The whole signing. He was doing a bunch of independent shows. So he did a bunch of independent shows, and he was great. Like, I saw a lot of his matches in the independents.
Yeah, that's one guy really making an impact on the pro wrestling world today.
Yeah, one of the best.
And if you consider the amount of time he's put in, 18, 20 years in other companies beforehand, it's a wonder why they didn't sign him sooner.
Yeah.
Well, I got to, watching back, I had this conversation all the time. When he was in TNA, I had no interest in him at all. But once he's in that WWE machine, he's a top talent.
Oh, yeah. I mean, when you're in the WWE, when everything you have done, yeah, that's great. You'll get a great pop when you start, but now you're in a new platform. You're gonna start like Mike Bennett, like everybody, Bobby Roode. When you start in WWE, that starts. Like, everything is washed away now. New Japan, TNA, Ring of Honor. Yeah, you're not an indie darling anymore. You're in WWE. What do you got?
And not only that, but the WWE seems to open up eyes to, a more wider, broader audience from, the old school generation wrestling fans to the newer school. Like, I can remember when I was a younger fan, watching, the old TNAs with like Samoa Joe and AJ when they were like the top stars of the company, really making some noise. Like whenever I was talking wrestling, my dad would be like, "Yeah, this guy AJ Styles, Samoa Joe," and they'd be like, "Who?" The TNA guys, I don't watch that. Fast forward to now, they're in, Raw and, SmackDown. My dad's like, "Hey, did you hear about this, Samoa Joe guy?" I'm like, "Yeah, I've been heard of him for the past, 10 to 5 years."
Yeah, like when friends say that to me, I feel cool telling them, "Yeah, I watched him in the Independents. That's nothing." Like everybody's like, "Oh my God, did you see what he did in WWE?" I'm like, "I watched him in front of 50 people." I go,
You ever seen AJ live?
Saw AJ live. I don't know, had to be 7 years ago, I think, when TNA made a little tour through New York. I think it was at the
Westbury Theater.
At the Westbury Theater, yeah.
Yeah, I saw AJ and Austin Aries on the night they had Hogan there. It was when they were doing the whole Aces and Eights.
Well, again, that's why I went, right? Because Hogan was there. I wasn't looking to see AJ Styles. In fact, it's an interesting conversation what the WWE is doing with these guys, right? Obviously, AJ has done well.
Right.
Like, how do you guys feel about what they're doing with Nakamura right now?
I don't really have much of an opinion on him. I'm just happy that he has a contract and he has a spot on the show.
Do you think they should keep the mic out of his hand?
I
mean, it's like,
I think they
Nakamura.
It's funny though.
I only have 4 words.
It's funny though when he does say stuff. I mean, his best match right now is still a Sami Zayn match. Again, the first time there is no.
Yeah, which I thought was terrible.
They should keep the mic out of his hand and keep him more of like a mystery when it comes to vocals and talking. It reminds me of like a Mike Tyson of some sorts. For years, I would see pictures of Mike Tyson and watch videos of him fighting and think this guy's a monster, but I would never hear his voice. When I finally hear the whole I broke my back and I got the spinals in my pigeon coop and I'm like, that's not intimidating whatsoever.
Well, so. Joe, you look like you disagree with me with the whole Sami Zayn thing, right?
I thought it was a fantastic match.
What makes a fantastic match, right? Former pro wrestler, guy who promotes wrestlers, wrestling fan, right? What makes a fantastic match?
Well, if I can answer first, psychology making sense.
Okay, so psychology how, right?
Psychology, a story being told, and not overdoing it.
So, John, so that you hit it right on the head, right? The story being told.
Yeah.
What good stories does the WWE tell in this generation? I would claim 0.
I agree with that.
Right? I'd say out of 10 storylines, 1 is decent, right? Back in the Attitude Era or even before, right? When, I'm a bit older than you guys, right? So when I talk about wrestling, I talk about the old school guys, right? Hogan, Savage, Flair, right?
School.
Their matches probably weren't nearly as good as some of the matches that go on now.
I think if those type of matches happen now, people would more appreciate them. Well, like they went an hour. Yeah, there's a sleeper hold for 20 minutes and there's stuff like that, but they're trying to fight out of it and stuff. I think the matches that happened in the old days, if they happen now, the way instead of like a high spot fest where you're kicking, punching, and then you don't even sell the move, I don't know. I think if you had those type of matches now, they would be much appreciated.
Well, the thing is, right? You're vested. You were invested in the wrestler back then. You're not invested in a wrestler right now, right?
No.
1 week Dolph Ziggler loses, the next week he wins the title. There's nothing going on.
Yeah.
Right? The Savage Hogan feud, right? One of the great feuds of all time that lasted a year and a half before they actually pulled the trigger on it. It just slowly built. And as a fan, right, you appreciated it. Warrior Hogan, right? Probably not a really good match.
Warrior Hogan, WrestleMania 7, one of the best. That was a great match.
But why was it a great match, though?
Because they told the story.
Exactly.
They told the story about it was a retirement match, and then Sensational Sherry after got mad and started hitting him, and then Elizabeth came back. So I mean, you had a great story involved in that. I mean, Macho Man didn't even leave, but I think he went to broadcasting right after. Did he? I don't know.
Yeah, I think he left into broadcasting.
Yeah.
But again, you guys repeat the same thing, right? It's all about the story, right?
Yeah.
It's all about the story. There's no stories being told. I would say the Lesnar Joe thing is they're doing a pretty good job with that. But that's one out of 100 storylines going on, right?
It's very obvious. Too obvious. I think they should have not
when it comes, I'm sorry about that. When it comes to credibility, in a pro wrestler, out of all the guys you see on the roster today, Lesnar has the most, not only credibility but legitimacy, and believability when it comes to his presence.
Well, because he's real.
Yeah.
Lesnar's a legitimate badass, right?
Yeah,
He'll
yeah.
kick someone's ass with no problem at all,
Right.
right? Yeah. I mean, that goes into,
Gone were the days where people can look at a pro wrestler and go, these guys, are monsters.
Well, they were superheroes, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Nowadays.
And now you're watching Dean Ambrose, who looks like he's a dude down the street, and it's like, what is this guy doing in professional wrestling?
Right.
And, again, Joe, if you disagree, say it. I'm
Yeah,
just,
I mean,
I feel strongly about a lot of this stuff.
The only thing about Brock and Joe was I wish they didn't touch, don't let them touch each other until that friggin' match.
Why? Didn't you think it was important that they established Joe, that he has, you came out of that thinking, man, maybe Joe will beat Lesnar. Now we know he's not, but.
Maybe for, you could call it a mark, you could call it whatever, but for my take is, now I know Lesnar's gonna win. If you did that in the match, meaning like if you made it seem like, wow, Joe's kicking Brock's ass, that would be a maybe. But now you're doing it where, like, for me at least, it ruins the story. It ruins it. I wouldn't let them touch each other and just build up by promos. And don't even let them see each other until that match. That's what they did with Nakamura and Zayn. Didn't see each other until the match. And then that's why everybody was so into it and saying fight forever and stuff like that.
When I look at Nakamura, I look at a guy that they pass off his theme song. That's what he is. He's a theme song. Fans chanting the theme song. There is nothing going on there.
I was just talking about this on the Evan Ginsberg show earlier this morning.
How is Evan, by the way?
Oh, he's doing fantastic.
Well, he blocked me on Facebook because I like Donald Trump. But hi, Evan.
I mentioned on his show earlier today how wrestling events have pretty much turned into pathetic Nickelback concerts, as if
Good point.
fans are now they're chanting along with catchphrases and they're chanting along with the theme songs, and they're doing the wave during a promo, and I'm like, what happened to just watching the show and actually enjoying it? I got my era, growing up was the Attitude Era, shortly before the Hogan era, whatnot. I assume same with you. It wasn't like that back then. Fans were engaged.
Well, why was the Attitude Era great? Why do you think it was so good?
Because one, the business was protected. Back then, it wasn't. Or if it was, I was probably too young to notice. The dirt sheets weren't that noticeable back then. Nothing was getting let out, as a secret.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't hear on the internet beforehand, so-and-so just signed a contract, and then when they show up, oh my God, we knew it, so-and-so. Surprises were kept, secret. Matches were kept with, believability. Stories were being told, and it was just an all-around interest.
Well, there was a point you might even think it was real, right?
Yeah.
There were a lot of points in the Attitude Era you're like, is this real? Is this really happening?
Yeah,
right?
Everything pro wrestlers do, is designed should be designed to make the paying audience question, where's the reality, where's the embellishment?
Well, I think that's what your friend Pancake was saying last week, right?
Yeah.
He was saying that they lost the storyline. And
Right.
I mean that's what I feel about the independents, right? You go to an independent show, there's no storyline, you're not vested. Actually there's some good wrestling going on, but you know what? No interest because you're not invested in any of the wrestlers, right? Because you don't have a storyline.
Mm-hmm. Right. Man, well, that's just personally my opinion. Nowadays, the whole, just the storytelling element and, the art of kayfabe and the protection of the business is pretty much lost, and all the elements that made pro wrestling, fantastic are kind of slowly fading away. You hear wrestlers say nowadays, oh, that's all dead. No, it's not. Some of these wrestlers are letting them die.
Sure.
So it should be their job to, and I say they because I'm not doing it anymore, but it should be their job to, kind of, say, hey, wait a minute, we have, something to protect here. We have something special to make great for the future generation guys, who come down the road.
I don't think it matters to them quite as much as probably the older crew. I'd probably have to agree with that. Right.
Right.
I mean, you've wrestled some of the older guys, right?
Oh yeah, Louis Fabiano.
How was it like working with him?
Fantastic. we when it came to calling matches, it was just beginning, middle, and end. Everything else was strictly improvised. We did a lot of stuff based off of crowd reaction. We did a lot of, just old-fashioned,
Feeling the crowd type of stuff,
pretty
right?
much. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love watching the legends now in independent shows. I mean, yeah, some of them, like, Greg Valentine's my favorite. I
Yeah,
always
he's
see him. I
fantastic.
mean, he's a funny guy.
Yeah, Andrew Anderson's another
That's
one.
his, that's his
You know?
wrestling
yeah.
partner.
Yeah.
Now, in your opinion, why do you think Andrew Anderson never made it?
I don't know. Well, I wouldn't say.
I mean, he's a big dude, right? Has an aura about him, right?
Well,
and when I mean never made it, right?
I wouldn't say never made it because it really depends on the wrestler's Well, I should say.
So what do we interpret as making it?
What we interpret as making it? When I was trained by Rocky Shore back from 2011 to 2013, I remember one lesson he taught me well was how to be a wrestler is a lonely life. Everybody wants to make it, and you may not make it.
It's
And
a
of course,
lonely
me
life.
and of course, me being the smart ass kid back then, I chimed in. Well, that depends on what making it is there, right?
Right, yeah.
He goes, "Well, what do you mean?" I said, "Well, I have a real job. I have no goals of making it to TV. So if I could work my regular job during the week while doing this on the weekends and just simply being a part of the business
So it's
that
like
way,
something you grew up on, and you're like, hey man, I just want to do
just
what
wanna
I
do
love,
it.
right?
Yeah, I told him. I said
It's
if
a good
if I could just do it, I'd be happy, And he laughed. He goes, "If you keep up that mindset, you should stick around." And then he told me this. I'll never forget it. He goes, "Name your price. The second the price gets too big, get out."
Okay.
So that's a lesson I'll always remember when it comes to the interpretation of making it. But as far as Andrew goes, you'd have to ask him. Really, because while many people may look at his career and go, "Oh, he's never been a big star on the WWE or WWF,"
WCW, right? He was
or
around for that too,
ECW,
right?
Yeah,
sure.
he may not look at that as making it. He may have the same mindset. I just wanted to be in the business, and I mean, when he broke in, territories were still a thing, so he was making a living on the
Yeah,
territories.
but that's why you speak about the Hammer, right? I figured the Hammer might have had some clout and get him into some kind of
he was
organization.
he was in the.
Not only that,
independents.
but Jimmy Snuka, had a lot of connections with
Yeah,
Andrew,
sure, yeah.
and
But they were all in the independents at the time. Like when Andrew broke in, Snuka wasn't in the WWE; he was in the independents.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, funny story. I have Andrew Anderson's number, and I butt dial him sometimes or send him a wrong text message because I have a couple of Andrews. So sorry, Andrew. He wants to kill me sometimes, but it's all good.
So fill us in. Who is the biggest dick you've ever met? And what did he? Give me a story.
I would say headhunters. I would say if you know the headhunters, they're huge in Japan. They did Mexico. They're just two big boys, and they one guy thought who he was, and I don't mind saying it. And the other guy the other brother was cool. They're twins, and he kept bothering me, and it seemed like he thought he was like better than me or better than everybody in the locker room. And, I mean, I work to you, but I'm not an ass kisser. So, I mean, like, I'm here for business. I don't, unless I make my money back, that's the only time I'll have a drink with you. Otherwise, I don't want to have a drink with anybody. I don't want to be buddy-buddy. I'm there to have business. Make you happy to be around me. I'm not going to be an asshole, but, that's just how it is in wrestling. Like, some people are going to think who they are and be dicks, and then, some are going to be nice to you and just want to hang out and be nice, and it flows better when they're nice. Like Tito Santana, he only wanted to talk about was booty. It was fun. He kept looking. I mean, it was funny to me. I thought it was hilarious, and it just flowed. It was quick with him.
Right.
Brian Myers, Kurt Hawkins, flowed. Very nice to me. Not a lot of wrestlers are assholes to me. So I mean, like when you're working with them and you're giving them money, they should be nice to you.
Well, who's the most expensive guy to bring in?
Shoot, I don't go for those. I don't know.
Who's
Probably Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, Sting, and Bret
What
Hart.
do you think Hogan costs to bring?
I heard 10,000.
That's it.
I
heard 100,000.
Well, who's the most expensive guy you've brought in? What's the most you've paid for to bring a guy?
I'm a cheap bastard. When it comes, but well, I don't know. I mean, I'll go to the $700 range, mixed with like 600. So I mean, like I don't go for the high amount. I mean, Teddy Long was pretty expensive.
Okay.
Teddy Long was, he had this, he had that. I mean, that shit was a horror story.
That's crazy, man.
But that was
crazy.
But that was when I started my booking company. And
Well, when you first started, he was your first choice?
yeah, and that was, and trust me, I
What
was,
what makes you choose Teddy Long as your first guy you bring
because
in?
everybody else on my thing, people, the guy, they were requesting him. They go, everybody, Teddy Long, Teddy Long. So I said, if everybody's interested in him, here's the places he's going to be. So it was a horrifying story. I had my friend book the flight. He got kicked off the flight because I don't know why. Then they couldn't find the hotel, so he went into a Japanese hotel and somewhere in Queens in an alleyway. And then, it wasn't me. I had nothing to do with the hotel and the airport. So, that wasn't my fault. But then my friend's credit card didn't work, which you probably get mad I said this. But friend...
Well, you're not mentioning this person's name.
No,
so,
of course not.
you know.
But so the people wanted to kick him out. The people, and then you can hear I call the people on the phone to hang up on me. And I'm like, and they're speaking Chinese to me. So finally, Teddy jumped over the counter to speak to a person because now he's kicked out of his room. The person recognized him. So they let him go. And they thank God. And it was probably first time I flew somebody and the last time I'll do that. Like, I'll take people from Jersey, I'll take this. It was a headache. And that was my first time ever doing that. And I was cursed. And I was, like, horrified to even fly somebody down after that. Because I'm like, that was a horror story. It was bad. It was bad,
Yeah.
We made money. Don't get me wrong.
That's the most important
yeah.
thing, right?
He sold 3 suits. He had suits. And nobody,
I just cannot believe that Teddy Long drew that big of a crowd. I'm in shock.
It's about promoting. I promoted since I was 15 years old. Little clubs and stuff like that. So, it's about promoting and about hustling.
What got you into promoting in the first place?
I like little clubs. I like teen clubs. So, I was going there, and then the guy goes, you're bringing in a crowd. You're doing well. Why don't you make money on this? So I said, okay. So, I worked with, when the Gaudis were popular, you're growing up Gaudis, they used to come to the club. They used to this, and I used to bring in a lot of people. So I used to get the club cards, used to hand them in school, and then I had, a little team of people that would help me out. So, wrestling, if you're not promoting your signing, nobody's going to come. You could call me piggybacking what I do, but there's 200 people there. It's easy. So the people are coming to you. So you don't have to get 9 people and to be depressed, what did I do wrong? So, I see it a different way of doing it. I don't like to do things that everybody else does. I like to be different, and I think I have the most collective bunch of people of wrestlers I have worked with. I was the only person to work with James Ellsworth. I got him on a Friday. The event was on Saturday in Philadelphia. He was nice. He was funny, but he wanted to take pictures with everybody. So I had to be his photographer the whole time. Right. I wanted to kill him, but otherwise, that's really it. Wrestling-wise and promoting. It's all about promoting and skills. If you don't promote, then you're not going to have nobody at your show.
Did you get involved in the big event in Queens in March?
Yes, I went to the first big event as a fan, and then I did about 4 of them or 5. And I don't bring anybody. I just sell merchandise, and I always made great money there.
How come you don't bring anyone?
I just, you know what?
That is a money maker, man. That thing has to be cranking $1 million and a half by the end of the show.
They have about 2,500 people.
Right?
2,500 people go there. It's probably the biggest convention wrestling-wise. There's legends and all of that, but then you got the big event, and they're bringing in people. Brought in Dennis Rodman, Mike Tyson. Brought in Hulk Hogan and Chris Jericho. So they're bringing different people in. They're not just bringing in variety now, because basically every convention is the same now. You have your Bret Hart, you have your Sting, you have your Ric Flair, you have them in the back of the room.
And I went to the last one, right? So I sat in line for Bret Hart, 2.5 hours. That guy is probably the nastiest dude I've ever met in my life.
Really?
He is one nasty son of a bitch.
Well, I remember when he got inducted into the Hall of Fame. Here's my Bret Hart story. Actually, the first time I told this story, I caught some flack for it because an indie wrestler said to me, and I quote, "Well, look at how many titles he's won. He has the right to do whatever he damn well pleases." But I remember watching when he got inducted into the Hall of Fame, Stone Cold put him in. And right at the end of Stone Cold's speech, as he's introducing him, he goes, "Oh, yeah, he's the excellence of execution. He's a guy who always shows up. He shows up late, but he shows up a lot." And I got to laugh, and I thought, oh, that's a funny joke. Fast forward to about maybe 2 years later, I'm working as a timekeeper for an independent show in Ronkonkoma. This is before I started training to wrestle and all that. And Bret Hart was supposed to be the big, guest that night. This is during the pre-show portion of the show.
Right.
So I'm working as a timekeeper, and I look to my right, and I see this table with 8x10s on it, with a, the big, gimmick sign in the back. Bret Hart, he's supposed to sit there and sign autographs. This huge line of fans waiting for him, and Bret's nowhere to be found. 20 minutes later, he comes strolling in like some regular dude, and everybody's like, "Oh, hey!" And I'm thinking, "Wow, Austin was right."
Well, at the big event too, he was almost about an hour late.
That's what I'm saying.
I rest my case.
But that's what I'm saying. That's going back to my topic. These wrestlers, I love wrestlers. I think some are nice, some are them, but some can be dicks, and some of the dicks think who they are. To me, you're just a regular person. Yeah, you're on TV, you're doing all good, but you're just working just like me as a vendor. You're working right now. You're making your money. Don't be an asshole.
And not to take anything away from Bret's credentials. The guy's a great technical worker.
Yeah.
He comes from a legendary family. Obviously very deserving of his Hall of Fame, induction, and of course, the accolades that he's gotten over the years. But if you're going to be paid to show up somewhere and give the fans what they want, why show up late?
No, right.
Yeah.
Respect your fans, right?
Yeah.
I mean, these are the guys that made you, right? It's funny with wrestling. You could be a baseball fan or a basketball fan. You're a fan. You're a wrestling fan. You're a mark, right? And I kind of feel some of these guys feel like just everybody's a mark, right?
Yeah.
Well, Mark is for wrestling. I always compare it as this: is for wrestling people. When you say Mark, I want to jump you. Don't call me a mark. That mark is a bad word to me. That's like a racial word to me in wrestling. Don't use mark. I call marks the people who wait at the hotels and don't pay and then tell you that, oh, I'm cool, I didn't pay.
You mean the guys at the airport at 4 in the morning with the merch?
And then they wonder why people scream, get a job to them. It's ridiculous. Like, you know what? That's marks to me. Knowing wrestling and being passionate is not a mark. So, I mean, like, I know my wrestling, but you will not see me sitting in the parking lot. You will not see me sitting in the airport. Only time I met wrestlers in the airport was I was going on my honeymoon, and all the wrestlers were in the airport at the same time as me. They were all flying, all the WWE wrestlers.
But you were there for a valid reason.
Yeah.
You weren't there just
so
to
I
stalk them.
instantly said to every wrestler to want to take a picture, I'm like, I'm not a stalker. I'm just here and you're here. So, I mean, Lana... Lana, obviously, Rusev, she was behind me because she was going to Nashville, and we were going to Nashville. So I hopped behind my seat, I said hello to her, and I called her the wrong name. She corrected me. She didn't look anything like Lana.
Wait, what name did you call her?
Lana.
And then she corrected you?
Yeah, she goes, Lana. She said it right in front of everybody, too. And then,
like it matters.
Yeah, but she didn't look like that Lana. She had like cornrows. She had a shirt on that looked sloppy. She looked ugly as hell. I'm like, is this real? But I have good eyes when it comes to wrestlers. So, I mean, like, I got to meet all of them. But that's the only time you'll see me wait for somebody. I'm not waiting for, that's a mark to me. That's being a mark. And I mean, hey, you could call it a hobby. You can call it whatever you want. That's my opinion. People get insulted and want to fight you at shows. I'm going to tell you, like, that's being a mark. That's not a hobby to me. That's stalking somebody at an airport. How do you get the airport people anyway? How do you know their flights? Who do you call? They should be fired, whoever tells you in the airport.
Right.
Because one, that's a hazard. So you can do that with anybody. You don't have to do that with wrestling. So, I don't know. But that's what I would say.
I don't know. Sometimes I think they have too much self-worth, right? I flew into Atlanta one time and I ran into Michael PSAs, right? So I grew up on the Freebirds, right? Loved the Freebirds, right? Gordy, Roberts, Garvin. Hayes was cool, right? Run into him in the airport. Now, no one knows who Michael Hayes is, right? Nobody knows Michael Hayes.
Especially with that foolish outfit.
Well, it doesn't even matter. You know what? No one knows Michael Hayes anymore, right? I know Michael Hayes. So I run into him like, hey, man, how you doing? Try to strike up a conversation, right? Give him some respect, right? Because, you grew up on this guy, right? Another total douchebag.
Really?
Oh, my God. He thinks he's a Freebird. He still thinks he's a Freebird. He was talking like a Freebird. And I was like, dude.
He had the accent and all that.
He had that whole thing going, trying to flop his hair around because he's got that straw hair he's wearing nowadays and things like that. And I was like, yeah, these guys with their self-worth, it's a little too much for me,
Oh, well, would you say he is the biggest dick you've met in the business, or does someone top that?
Yeah, he's probably the biggest dick I've met in the business. I mean, I actually worked with Roddy Piper. That guy respected his fans, right? So
Nice guy.
here we are selling autographs, right? And I'm trying to push the line through. This guy literally spent 10 minutes with every fan. I'm watching my wallet get emptied as he's spending, quality time with his fans. You got to respect something. At that time, I didn't respect it, right? So here's a guy I loved, right? Idolized growing up, and then I'm watching him spend my money. I'm getting pissed off, and I'm yelling at his son to tell him to keep going and keep going.
Oh,
right?
Colt was there?
Oh, Colt was there, yeah.
Okay.
And but really, really nice guy, a real gentleman. And look, most people are really good people, right? So we just run into these people that just think there's something special.
But then there are times where, you mentioned the whole fans waiting at the airport and the hotel thing, where fans will run into a wrestler at a bad time. That wrestler could be overtired. That wrestler could be in the middle of something.
Absolutely.
And they could just be, in a bad mood because of whatever, and the wrestler will think, oh, this guy's an asshole.
So, so that goes into this then. Do we believe that, hey, look, they're just workers, meaning that, baseball stars, basketball stars, pro wrestlers, when they're on the clock, they're working for you. Off the clock is their time. Is that what we believe? Is that what we believe actors also?
Yeah.
Right? That we don't have a right to infringe on their personal ground?
Well, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, sometimes, everybody's human. Everybody has,
Absolutely.
And
Funny story to that. Last week, off topic, off wrestling, I forgot the Star Wars director, but
Lucas.
Lucas,
George
okay.
Lucas, yeah.
People wanted autographs from him. He said to the people, "Get a job." And the same thing as he was off the clock.
George Lucas said that.
He was off the clock, and he said to the people, "Get a job." But everybody is thinking that, and he said it. I salute him on that. I salute him that he said that. Fun. Somebody friggin' said it. Somebody said it.
You don't think when you're in the entertainment field that you've got fans and they're the ones paying your bill, and you've got to make time for your fans, don't you? I mean, look, you got the God-given gift to be a great football player, right? But you owe it to your fans to spend time. I understand what you said, John, right? People have bad moments, right?
People have bad moments. People are human, and people, they want privacy every once in a while.
Absolutely.
Like I can totally understand, if whatever wrestler is on a date with their wife or girlfriend or trying to make time with their kids and they get bum rushed at a park somewhere or whatever. Oh, can you sign this or that? If they weren't, some of them are probably going to react, in not that much of a positive way.
But don't you think it's coming? You're a big star. You're going to be approached. You've got to be prepared for that.
True.
How can you be angry?
Yeah.
I heard a story about Benoit.
Oh my
back
God.
with his wife and his kids in Orlando, and people approach him. He looked like he was supposed. Again,
First
I
off,
wasn't.
That's
go ahead.
just his facial feature.
First off, from what I've heard about Benoit, I was listening to a shoot with Paul London and Brian Kendrick, who traveled with Benoit a lot on when SmackDown and Raw were separate brands or something. I don't know. I forgot what year this was, but they traveled with him. And first off, Benoit, they described, was a nightmare to not only travel with, but room with at hotels. Like, they'd be taking a shower in the morning, and Benoit would rip the shower curtains off. Did you work out today?
Right.
They're over at a restaurant somewhere, and it's like they walk into this diner. They're literally about to close. Benoit kicked the door in. He goes, "You're serving us," So
Yeah.
he literally scared the waiters into serving him at the table. In comes these two fans who think the diner's open. They see Paul London and Brian Kendrick through the window.
Right.
So they walk in. They're like, "Oh my God, you guys are great." Blah blah blah. "Oh my God, Chris Benoit." Benoit's like, "Get the fuck away from me."
It's no wonder what happened, right? I mean,
Yeah, I
come
know.
on, please. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, and the fact that people still want him in the Hall of Fame, despite what he did, is still kind of,
To me, even before that happened, I never appreciated Benoit at all. I mean, I thought he was a great wrestler. I did not appreciate him as a talent. Just being a great wrestler to me is just not enough, right? You've got to have.
You have to have
the whole package, right?
Exactly.
And I got to be honest with you. you're better off having great mic skills and great charisma than being a great wrestler, right? We were talking before.
Which is
we were
why
talking
guys
about,
like Enzo Amore have a future.
well, let me ask you something.
Yeah.
Name the 4 best WrestleMania main events in the history of wrestling.
Well, top of the list for me is Rock and Austin.
Okay.
Rock and Austin, Hogan and Andre. You think
Hogan and Warrior.
Hogan and Warrior.
Hogan and Savage.
Well, my other two.
Hogan and The Rock.
That's more than 4.
But all I keep saying, Hogan's name keeps coming up. Hogan was not a great worker, right? I mean, lately on Facebook, everybody's passing around this video of him against Muda in Japan.
Yeah, I saw that.
I got to tell you, that match sucked. It's like he's throwing arm bars. I don't want to see Hogan throwing arm bars. I want to see Hogan hulking out, dropping a couple of clotheslines, and dropping the leg, and then putting the shit to the ear. Right? I don't want to see Hulk Hogan doing arm bars.
Right.
But it's like the same. I mean, my first baby roar was Hulk Hogan back in the day. That was my first baby roar. I love Hulk Hogan. I've seen him many times. He knew how to sell the product. He didn't really need 20 moves to do that. And, I mean, yeah, his best matches were Savage and Warrior. Andre was all right. Wasn't anything. It was about the spectacle.
Wait.
It wasn't about... Well, Andre and Hogan weren't good at WrestleMania.
I got to tell you what. You know what? Everybody keeps talking about that Steamboat Savage deal, which is the great, great match.
Yeah.
But you know what? The people came to see Hogan Andre. And I'm telling you what, till this day, you watch that match. There was so much involved in that match. That was a great match.
I say spectacle-wise. I wouldn't say armbar, headlock kind of move match. Like I say, Hogan Macho, Hogan Warrior were great matches. It was about the spectacle, WrestleMania 3. That's what I'm going to say on that.
Yeah.
What about Hogan Rock? You didn't bring up Hogan Rock.
Oh, I brought up Hogan and Rock. That was
I thought it was a great match too.
yeah. The fact that they didn't even have to do nothing within the opening of the match, and people were already on their feet.
But it's about the
And all they did was
spectacle
just stand
as
there
well
looking
too.
at each other.
Well, that's what it's about, right? You're in as a fan. Just
Yeah.
like, we're about to jump into the New York Knicks, but
Yeah.
it's about the spectacle. And that's what wrestling is missing now. There is no spectacle. It's wrestling with bad storylines. And unfortunately, it's the only game in town, and a lot of us are conditioned to turning on television onto USA Network at 8 o'clock and watching 3 hours of shit.
Yeah, but there's also other wrestling out there, and that's why, I'm a strong advocate for support indie wrestling, as to get more eyes on, local independent shows, because there's a lot of undiscovered talent, and nowadays those are the territories, now that lead up to that. If it wasn't for the independents, you wouldn't have guys like Kevin Owens, AJ Styles, or most recently a former associate of mine, Tony Nese, who I worked with over at NYWC.
Speaking of Tony Nese, right?
Yeah.
I was talking to a friend of mine, right? I was talking about independent wrestling and how a lot of the independent stars, we'll call them, think they have the goods, right? And Tony Nese, you knew, had the goods.
Right.
You could watch him, and I'm like, this guy is making it. That was very, very simple.
Yeah, he has a great look. People said he lacked in mic skills, but he cut a promo on Raw that was good.
I think he's awesome.
He was doing stuff you haven't seen in years. Like, when's the last time you've watched a wrestling match nowadays and seen somebody do a body scissor lock? From behind.
Right. I mean, he's got the look, he can move, and he's got decent mic skills. He's an up-and-comer, no doubt.
Going to the live feed real quick to check to see what the audience has to say. Anthony Rosello writes, yes, JoJo. I assume this is...
brother.
That's your brother?
Yes, relative.
Okay. Paula McCurry writes, Piper was an awesome dude, very friendly when I met him. Yeah, Piper's a good guy. I never met him, but I heard a lot of great stories. Anthony Samus writes, what do you guys think of Ryback?
Joe, you want to take this one?
I mean, I watch his Instagram, Snapchat actually. Snapchat. He's a funny guy actually. He actually for the first time, and I know really nobody got on this. He was at the Coliseum.
For Eternal Con.
Okay.
Yeah.
Him and Punk in the same building. How nobody really got that. I'm like, anybody? I know they're probably not going to talk, but still, you never know. I think Ryback. I think he's too. I think he's too telling people that there's no money in India. Like, who are you to say that? I think there's a great wrestling aspect in India. I think people want to see wrestling in India, and like, who are you to say that?
I think Great Khali, has a school out there.
He has a wrestling promotion. He puts 40,000 in a cricket stadium, and Ginger Mahal, actually, the WWE. I say it wrong. Don't
Ginger.
You'll
Ginger
buy
Ginger.
Buy a couple of shows, you'll know my language, ladies and gentlemen. Trust me, my language is totally different. I say everything wrong, but it sounds good. But otherwise, he's the booker, and they do cricket stadiums, and he's huge there. You know, Khali's like the Michael Jackson there. They love that. Everybody knows Great Khali in India.
No, Khali was all right. He was entertaining, right? It's all about entertainment too, right? It's not just about, I'll give you my rundown on Ryback. I thought the WWE gave that guy every chance to be successful, and he couldn't pull it off. He was a big dude, okay mic skills. They pushed that dude a lot, and he just could not get it done. And some guys just can't get it done, man. And you get this list and list of guys. Do I like Ryback personally? Yeah, Ryback looks like a badass. You know what I mean? But
he's another one who has that legitimacy and believability.
Yes, absolutely.
About him,
Yep, totally agree.
My personal opinion of Ryback is he might be the kind of pro wrestler where he would rather have all the control as far as his booking schedule is concerned, and where he performs, and who he performs with and whatnot. And being that he just got out of WWE, he has the stroke to do that. I think he more prefers that rather than being owned by somebody and being told what to do, every waking second of the day, which is why I can tell he looks extremely happy now with the independent bookings.
Well, then I would say, Joe, you better become his agent, because he made a really big mistake if that's his mindset, right? Unless he's got enough money that he could bat, he
runs his own nutrition company that's selling like hotcakes apparently, and
he's a big dude, man. That guy's a big dude.
Yeah.
I met him at the big event in, I forget when, but one of the past big events he was there. I remember just going up to him, and great guy, humble guy, easy to talk to. My good friend Tara, who's probably watching this show right now, she just met him today at
Sarah?
Tara, Tara.
Hi, Tara.
Yeah. She just met him at EternalCon today. You know how every girl has like their crush. Ryback's her crush. So
Okay.
she just met.
All right.
Oh my God.
I get it.
I called her up. I was like, "How was he?" And she wouldn't stop talking for like 20 minutes. Oh my God, he was great. We talked for like 10 minutes.
Did she meet Punk?
Yes.
How was he?
Apparently great.
Okay. That's surprising to me.
Yeah.
That's surprising to me.
He's 38 years old, so he's probably maturing out in a little bit.
I got a friend that's a huge Punk guy, right? He just loves Punk. And, Punk's another one that I always look. Great talker, good wrestler, but not believable, right? And I mean not believable. Look, there comes a point when you've got a 300-pound Brock Lesnar wrestling a 150-pound Finn Balor. It's unbelievable. And you see, that's what's missing in wrestling today too, right? Randy Savage at 190 pounds, you believed he could beat Andre the Giant.
Yes.
He sold you on that. Piper, 223, sold you that he could beat a 260-pound Hulk Hogan, right? To me, Finn Balor, great worker, right? And that's why I think all the small guys need to be moved to SmackDown,
right?
Because it's kind of, it's not believable. You cannot believe Finn Balor could ever beat Brock Lesnar.
Right.
That's what I was saying to you. It's not believable right now that Joe can beat Brock. I don't.
Yeah, but Joe's a big guy. Joe's not a small guy.
But I'm saying we're not. I mean, it's not MMA. So if it was MMA, maybe I would talk in a different language. But
why is it not believable that Joe could beat Lesnar?
Because
put Lesnar being a legitimate badass.
Because
aside.
that's what I'm saying to you.
Joe might be a legitimate badass also, for all I know.
We're talking scripted.
Okay.
Wrestling scripted. If it was MMA, and let's put Joe and Brett Lesnar in MMA. Maybe I say Joe beat Brock. If it was an MMA,
then why wouldn't it be believable in a professional wrestling match that Joe could beat Brock?
Because it's written, and I could see it right now on Raw that it's not going to happen. You have Joe get the upper hand right now, and then Brock beat him.
So you're saying that we're going like the Bob Backlund era, when Backlund used to just go through a guy in the garden, and so just Joe's in there just for Great Balls of Fire, and then the real deal comes when they decide either Strowman or Reigns are going to go against him at SummerSlam.
Yeah,
So he's a fill-in, right?
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Sometimes you got to have fill-ins, right? I mean, I'll tell you what. I'd rather see Joe against Lesnar than Balor against Lesnar or Dolph Ziggler against Lesnar or any of those guys against Lesnar.
I agree with that.
I mean, even Shawn Michaels, right? Shawn Michaels made you feel that he could beat someone of that size.
Yeah.
You know, talk about Bob Backlund, who I hated growing up, right? Love him now, right?
Next to him, he's crazy.
He's a lunatic. But that guy was a real badass in real life and, you know, great real wrestler, right? Greco-Roman wrestler. And you could feel that he could beat anybody anytime, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what it's about. It's about believability. And these guys just don't sell themselves. To me, they don't sell themselves enough, right? I mean, again, just my opinion.
Yeah. If you're just tuning in, this is the John Sawyer Show live on Strong Island TV. We are here with the newest members of the team, Mr. Joe Rosello, Mr. Michael Monty. We'll be wrapping up in about 10 minutes or so. It is currently 7:45. I know we've been meaning to get to the Phil Jackson
yes,
topic.
Basketball. First of all,
Well,
Phil
first
Jackson.
off, before you continue,
He's on fire, folks. He's been waiting for this for
before you continue, let me mention right now publicly, before I let Joe take it away, that I am clueless about basketball, know nothing about the NBA and what's going on, so I'm going to sit out for this one and let Joe take over. Continue.
I don't know that much. I mean, he's going to hop in with me, but I mean, right, Phil Jackson coming in was one of the best things, I thought. Getting fired and going out, it's great. I don't know what the Knicks are still going to suck, but at least we have something new that we can look forward to. Like maybe something, hey, can we get into the playoffs? You're not winning a championship anytime soon, but can we get into the playoffs right now? Please, pretty please. I mean, this team is like, you grow grays. I mean, like, it's bad with this team.
Well, my point on that, right, is I grew up a Knicks fan, right? Phil Jackson coming in was a big deal, right?
Yes.
He didn't do the job, that's for sure.
Yep.
But let's talk about everything behind the scenes. I mean, how do you feel about Porzingis not showing up to an exit interview? I mean, he should have been put on the trading block, right? Porzingis has done nothing in 2 years. Everybody made him out to be this next superstar, right? Because we're desperate Knicks fans.
I still think he's going to be the next Larry Bird.
What has he done in 2 years to even compare himself to Larry Bird?
I mean,
because we're so desperate to make a star, we're like, oh, Porzingis is the next star. Please tell me, what has he done? I need to know, because half the time he's injured.
He was only injured one time. When was he injured? Really?
He was injured the first year. I don't have the stats. I'll have them next week. We'll talk about it. But he's been injured 2 years in a row, and he did not come to the exit interview. You know, as a manager, you know, you have employees, right? They're supposed to do what they're supposed to do, right? You're requested to come to an exit interview, come to it, right? And then Phil goes out of the way, and then he rips apart Carmelo Anthony, and everybody knows Carmelo shouldn't be part of this team anymore. And, you know, look, Phil Jackson failed, but we're looking at another 15 years of nothing with this team.
Absolutely.
So how do we applaud Phil Jackson leaving? I don't even know what we could even speak about this team. I mean, what do you have to look forward to next year?
Really, I mean, we could see this rookie, but I heard he was already injured. I heard the first day he hurt his legs. So, like, what do we have? I think we have nothing. We have nothing with this team. There's really nothing to look forward to. I want to see the new rookie in the Lakers, who I hate, the ball kid, whatever his name is.
And by the way, that was the worst wrestling segment in the history of pro wrestling.
Jeez, I didn't even watch him. My cousin brought me downstairs to play video games with him, and thank God. Do you know what? Oh, before we go, let's talk about the double standard. So, the ball kid said the N-word on Raw. He said the N-word.
Yeah. Oh, he did?
But, yeah.
I must have missed it. I might have been sleeping.
Yeah, so, you know, WWE made a thing about it.
Mm-hmm.
But when Hulk Hogan did it, all of a sudden, he's out. He's out of the Hall of Fame. He's out of this. It took Hulk Hogan to make Hulk Hogan dead. That's what everybody says. But there's such a double standard on that. I mean, listen, I don't want to be into racial stuff on air, but, you know, I mean, the ball kid, I mean, I didn't even hear him say it. I tried to listen 3 times, and I couldn't hear him say it. I don't know if they edited it out or not, but, I mean, like, it was a really big thing. And I think it wouldn't have made that much publicity if that kid didn't say it. I feel like no newscasters really would have cared about it, like ESPN and stuff like that, if that kid didn't say it.
Hey, you still shouldn't say that on a program
Yeah,
where kids are watching,
absolutely,
you know?
absolutely.
Don't forget
Not
about kids,
home.
right? How about adults, right? I mean, there's no
Yeah.
room for that type of
Adults,
language, right?
Yeah, it's not even, It's to me, it's just an ugly word, and I'm not gonna get into it, but
Yeah.
if any,
It's not a good word.
you know.
Not good. But I do want to see back to basketball. I do want to see that kid get his ass kicked. His dad made him seem like he's like the bomb. He's not nothing, and LeBron's gonna put him to skates.
You're still talking about the Ball family, or
Yes, the Ball family. That's
okay.
what I'm saying. Sorry,
Yeah.
ladies.
There were
and
there
gentlemen.
were too many Ball references.
Well, I know. If I say
Made
his
me
name,
creeped out a little
If
bit.
I-
yeah,
maybe.
I still, because if I said his name on air, you would just burn me because I don't know how to say his name. So I mean, that's why I'm just saying Ball. That's why.
Look, Phil did what he expected to do, right? Phil's a Chicago Bull. He ripped us apart in the 90s, in the 80s, and he ripped us apart now, right? So he accomplished his mission. He just destroyed the Knicks again. So, as a Knick fan, as a Jet fan, as a Yankee fan, as a Ranger fan, I'm not going to see anybody win because we just suck. New York sports suck.
I agree with that. But hey, Jets tickets will be very cheap this year, so I'm happy. Yeah, you can suck, but I get to sit first row. I'm happy for $40.
You
too.
know, you know the Jets are bad when you leave 2 Jet tickets on your windshield, and then you come back and there's 4 Jet tickets on your windshield.
There you go. Good job, John. That's absolutely
I
right.
would still take them.
And I'm the guy that left the 4 tickets.
So we're just about to take things to a close here. Joe, your social media, if people want to find you.
Joe Rossello. That's really it. There's a lot of Joe Rossellos in my family because we're Italian, so everybody names each other the same thing. So, but you'll find me. I have my beautiful wife and myself on a picture, so you can add me from there. Fortunately, I'd like to announce that I am not going to be here next week, but I'll be here the following week after, and every other week after that, but on the 16th of July, I'll be doing an eating contest at Peter's Clam House, which is not very good to do, but they have a eating contest, and I've been doing it for 3 years. I stink, and I suck. I never get to the second round, but you can still watch me, and then right after that, I'll be here, probably green and have a garbage pail next to me, but I will be here.
What
I
do you
promise
got? What do you got going on next week? Anything exciting?
Simon Gotch. I have Simon
right, you
Gotch,
said
and
that,
that is
Simon Gotch.
JR Bookings, and we take him to Legends and NYC, and we watch the Great Balls of Fire pay-per-view, and you get to get autographs and hang with Simon Gotch. Hang with Simon Gotch. I can't pronounce it.
Simon.
Yes, I'm thinking of fish right now. That's why I'm hungry. But that's really it.
Now, for the New York City fans watching, where can they come hang out with Gotch and watch the pay-per-view?
33rd Street, Legends. Just look it up on Google, because if I tell you the address, you're not going to be at the right place. So just Legends Bar. Look it up on Google. It will tell you the address. Google Maps is amazing. I use Google Maps. Plug on Google. Love you.
All right. Mr. Monty, your social media, if people want to find you.
You could find me on the John Sawyer Show on Facebook. That's my
right.
social media.
All right. Facebook.com/John Sawyer Show. For myself, it's at Boondocks1993 on Twitter and Instagram. My Facebook info is in there somewhere. I hate Facebook. All right. He is Joe Rossello. I am John Sawyer. He is Michael Monty. He is Bobby Lacera, who is off camera at the moment, currently handling his big money business over there. We'll be back next week, me and Mike, and that's it. Thank you for watching. See you next time.